Good evening and a very warm welcome to you all. My name is Beeta and I'm with the admissions and the outreach team at Azim Premji University. As you may all know, the university was established in the year 2010 under the Azim Premji University Act of Government of Karnataka. Azim Premji Foundation set up the university as a fully philanthropic and not-for-profit institution with a clear social purpose. The university aims to prepare competent, motivated, and socially committed graduates who can significantly contribute to the education and development sectors in India. We wish to inform you that we are accepting applications for our undergraduate and postgraduate programs for the academic year 2022. We are hosting a series of webinars giving you all an overview of the postgraduate programs offered at our university. Today, we have with us Dr. Ankur Madan, Associate Professor with the School of Education. She is here to speak about our postgraduate program, M.A Education. She will share the details on the core courses, electives, and other aspects of the program. We are sure you will have a lot of queries. Request you to kindly wait till the end of the presentation and we shall answer them all. My colleagues Vrinda, Sapna, and Vijay at the back end will also be helping in addressing questions. Over to you, Dr. Ankur.
Hi, good evening to everyone who's attending this streaming. Welcome to the session. I'm very happy to be here interacting with all of you. As Bija said, my name is Ankur Madan and I'm part of the faculty at the School of Education. I teach in the M.A Education Programme, and my teaching interests or the courses that I teach are in psychology of education and inclusive education, right? Happy to spend a few minutes with you all in taking you through the curriculum of the M.A Education Program, also perhaps trying my level best to answer the questions that you have about it. And let's see how it goes. Hoping to welcome some of you, all of you perhaps, in the M.A Education Program in the coming academic year. Okay, I'll start now. Before I begin to provide an overview through a formal kind of presentation of the MA Education Program, I just thought that I would like to ask a question, which I'm not looking for a response from you immediately, but something that you can start thinking about. Okay, and perhaps provide your responses as we go along during this session or mull over it maybe in the days to come as well. The question is about why are you considering the MA Education Program? And I'm not here asking the question about why are you considering or thinking about joining the MA Education Program at the Azim Premji University. That's not my question. My question is about what are some questions in your mind? What are some things that are going on in your head because of which you are interested or because of which you are considering being part of this education endeavor? Or what is it about education? What are some very important kind of festering questions or burning questions that you have about our education system that I'm assuming have got you interested in it? And that's the reason why you are locked in today, the reason why you are watching this transmission. All right, just think about that, and we'll probably have a discussion around it as we go along. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is just take you through, provide you with an overview of the MA Education Program at the Azim Premji University. Right? We can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, thanks. Just broadly, what are the objectives of this program? What are the what do we see as goals or that we wish to fulfill with this MA Education Program? Well, one of the objectives of the program is to introduce you to educational theory as well as practice of education from the perspective of a practitioner, which means that what we are looking for is essentially to train you, to help you develop a deep understanding of education as a domain of study and essentially its practice, right? which means you become an educational practice with a deep seated understanding of it as a domain of study. We also believe that in order to do that, to become an educational practitioner, you need to understand and develop knowledge about the curriculum and pedagogical practices in at least one school subject area. And what do I mean by curriculum and pedagogy? Largely, what is to be taught and how should it be taught. And I'll take an example of, let's say, science or maths or language or social sciences, which are all part of school subjects, right? These are subjects that are taught in the school. So a good question to ask would be, how and what should be taught in maths at what age and grade level, and how should that transaction of knowledge should happen. What is the nature of that subject area? What is the nature of science? What is the nature of maths? What is essential knowledge that should be taught to children at different age and grade levels in schools? And we believe that gaining expertise and gaining deep rooted knowledge of one, at least one school subject area, is absolutely essential to become that educational practitioner, right? Another objective is to actually go out there and design and implement educational interventions and actions, right? Which means that you should be able to, at least by designing and implement, I'm not talking about large scale programs or anything like that, but to develop the imagination, right? To develop the imagination that if there is a problem out there, an educational problem out there, what can I do in order to solve that problem, or at least in what ways can I contribute to designing an intervention, designing possibilities or considering possibilities of educational action, and how can I participate in that, and what are some skills that I require in order to become that practitioner. And then, of course, no change, no educational change, no educational intervention happens in isolation. So we believe that learning to be part of a community of practitioners is very, very important, right? It's very important to be part of a team, to be part of a community of practitioners who can bring about that change that we are seeking in the education system, seeking in the school education system in our country. And we believe that that can only happen through direct experience. And by direct experiences, that when you actually plunge yourself in it, you dive deep into educational practice itself. And that I will show you as we go forward how we provide those experiences, right? So these are some broad objectives of the program. We can go to the next slide. Yeah, the program is structured like this. Okay, it's a 72 credit, 4 semester, full time program, right? Which comprises the following. It has taught courses, meaning the transaction of which happens in direct mode. These taught courses are both core and elective curriculum. We also have a very, very essential and strong field practice and practicum component, which is what I was referring to when I was talking about direct experience. So the direct experience that we're hoping that you would gain would help you to become that educational practitioner and be part of education practice or community of education practitioners. The field practice and practicum component, I will be elaborating on each of these as we go forward. We also have a set of what we call the open courses and the option of taking up an independent study. I'll just elaborate on each one of them as we go along. We can go to the next slide. Yeah, and I don't know if that's too micro or too small for you all to see, but essentially, this is the broad structure, the semester wise breakup of courses that you will do. I'll leave you with this for a minute or so for you to look at. and then elaborate on the different kinds of courses that we have. But maybe this is not of immediate interest to you to look at which course occurs or which course happens in which semester. But as you can see highlighted in red, we have three different what we call field practice components that happen over three different semesters. Okay, and we'll be talking about each of those. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. Yeah. So the taught courses that I was referring to earlier are core and elective curriculum. Core courses essentially means that all students in the program have to take those. Elective essentially means that you have a choice of choosing a few courses from a set of electives or a set of courses that are offered. Together, they comprise the curriculum of the program, right? So, in order to gain the credits for the entire program, you have to take a set of core courses, you have to take a set of elective courses, right? Um the core courses are the ones that provide what we could perhaps call a disciplinary lens to understand what I was referring to earlier, educational theory, the domain of education. And those disciplinary lenses, we believe, come from the disciplines of sociology, philosophy, and psychology, right? So, what you would be studying essentially would be core courses in sociology of education, philosophy of education, and psychology of education. And together, all of these comprehensively and holistically will help you to engage with questions of in educational theory as to what are the aims of education, what should be the aims of education, who is being taught, how should they be taught, who is the center of this learning, how do you address larger questions about diversity in this country, right? All of those are some questions that you would be dealing with in the core courses. Some other core courses have to do with understanding the existing kind of school systems in the country. The slide seems to have gone from here. Uh, yeah, the slides seem to have gone, but that's okay. I hope that we can continue. Right. Courses that introduce you to school systems, that is the structure of how school systems are organized in our country, educational research, policy, educational policy, the history of education policy in our country, and also questions or courses related to understanding teachers work, right? How or what is the role of teachers, how do they work, what kind of questions can be asked about teachers, their identity, about their professional development, etc. Those are all core courses that we expect all students to take in order to develop this understanding about educational as a domain of study, right? We also have then a set of courses around what is being referred to earlier as the subject area knowledge in one school subject, which is science, mathematics, language, social studies, or early childhood education. That means we feel that the microcosm, the most important place in understanding the domain of education, is the classroom, right? Where the teaching learning process takes place. And to understand that process of teaching and learning, you need an anchor. And that anchor could be, one of the anchors could be understanding the learning process, understanding the work of teachers, and understanding the transaction through that happens through teaching learning materials, right? So in order to do that, we expect all the students to gain expertise in at least one school subject area, and that is a choice that you have at the point time of entry into the program, right? You would have already, if you have looked up the announcement of the program, the brochures of the program, you would find that you also, in the application process, you are expected to give your option of taking an additional subject area test in science or maths or language, social studies, or early childhood education, because that's one strong set of courses that we offer through the program, which are central, very integral to the program. In addition to that, we have electives, right? We have a set of electives, as I was referring to earlier. Electives are obviously courses that you can choose to take. So, from a bouquet of several courses that are offered, these are of all kinds. There are many different kinds of perspective building or advanced knowledge courses in something like educational assessment, or perhaps inclusive education, or ICT, that is working with technology in education, or some other areas of diving deep into, say, sociology of education, or psychology of education, or ethics in education, art in education, and so on and so forth. And those are some kind of niche areas which either advance your knowledge in something that you have already studied, or introduce you to those perspectives in education that are essential but you have probably not been exposed to before this, right? So these are the different set of courses. We can move forward. Yeah. Now coming to the field practice and practicum component, which we think is very, very important and integral to our MA Education program, which provides you with that opportunity to become and train yourself to be the educational practitioner that we hope you will become as you go along, right? So what we have is a weekly practicum program in schools, which is associated with specific courses that you are doing. So, of course, all of this is in pre-pandemic times. In the pandemic, during the pandemic, due to school closures, of course, we've had lots of challenges about making this work, but we've managed to do at least some of it through online classes and things like that. But in the real curriculum has a weekly practicum component where students on a weekly basis visit a school and spend time in classrooms and do tasks that are associated with some of the courses. In addition to that, we have three very, very important field practice components of different durations at different time intervals. The first one, the FP1 or the field practice one, is a 2 week field practice component where students visit the field institutes or district institutes where the Azim Premji Foundation works, right? And there you are exposed to the structures and systems, the community, the classrooms, and teachers to understand the public education system in our country, the government school system. How does the government school system, the machinery of the government school system works? And you get to see both the good side and the bad side, right? So you get to see everything and interact with people who have been working alongside the government school system very closely through our field institutes to understand the nature of work that they are doing, the kind of challenges they face. And it's quite an eye-opening experience for our students, because for a lot of them this is the first time they are even entering a government school classroom, and they are amazed by everything that they see, both the good and the bad. And believe me when I tell you that there is enough of both. There is lots to see and understand. And that's the first field practice component, and this happens in the first semester itself. So we feel that a lot of conversations that we have in our classrooms, in a sociology of education class or in a psychology of education class, the course is called child development and learning, or philosophy of education class, can be anchored in these observations that you make as part of your field practice, right? The second field practice happens at the end of the second semester. It happens during the summer, where we expose you to an organization that is involved in some kind of work in education, mostly educational interventions. So, there we want you to observe and understand the different ways in which organizations, both private and public, NGOs, even government organizations work in education. So doing this very close kind of observation of the work that they are doing, it enables you, it prepares you to understand the ethos, the culture, the values of how organizations engage in educational action. The third one is the longest piece of field practice, and we are very proud of this particular piece of a field practice that we have curated for our students, which actually is a 12-week engagement. So, almost 3 months you spend in the field, and this field site is one of our district institutes, right? And there you do multiple things. Okay, you do lots of things. You do actual classroom teaching, which means you spend time in a government school classroom or a low fee paying private school or something like that, or an early childhood education setting, and spend time with children, teaching them. Teaching what? Teaching the subject, school subject in which you are specializing. And in addition to that, working very, very closely with teachers, understanding, shadowing teachers' work, supporting their work, helping them, developing teaching learning materials, and also engaging in what we call teacher professional development activities, which means how to enhance, how to improve the teaching learning process, and how can we support teachers in doing that, right? So those are different components around which this 12-week period is designed. You will also have the unique experience of studying some of the courses in the field, which means they will be held, the courses are actually taught in the field itself. All right. In addition to that, there is also a thread of research. So there is also a component of educational research, which is again part of some of the taught courses. We have a field research course, as part of which you do a research piece also while you are in the field. So altogether, if you count, there is 12 weeks plus 3 weeks plus 2 weeks, so 17 weeks of time that you are spending in the field. In addition to that, you have the practicum, right? The weekly practicum. So lots and lots of real exposure to the ground realities of how education looks like in our country. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on all of this is really related to the question that I was asking you right in the beginning, which has to do with, why do you think doing this MA education program is important for you? What are the questions that you are seeking answers to? What are some challenges that you think there are in the school education system of our country? And where do you see yourself as part of it? Do you really want to be part of this change in the social sector, sorry, in the social systems, in the way education works in our country? And that's the reason why we feel that unless you dive deep, really, really dive deep into it, you will not gain that understanding unless you rub shoulders, unless you really get your hands and feet dirty to understand what the ground realities are. Bringing about change is not possible, right? Sitting in our own comfortable silos, seats, and not really experiencing the real world out there is not sufficient for us to be engaging with questions that have disturbed her. And a lot of it is coming from our own experiences, right? It's coming from what we have been through. Each one of us has experienced education, both good and bad, right? Some of us have had very good experiences, some of us have had bad experiences, some of us have been frustrated, we've asked questions, we've wondered why, things are the way they are. Well, this is your time to find out. This is your time to be proactively involved and not just sit back and, you know, expend your energy in expressing that kind of frustration and unhappiness and not being able to do anything about it, feeling helpless about it. Okay. Yeah, we can go forward. Now, of not just the MA education program, but all our programs, the postgraduate as well as the undergraduate program at the university, we have a set of courses that we call the open courses. These open courses are available to all students across the university because we believe that students, when they come to a university and experience university life, they must also gain exposure to things that are beyond their curriculum, that are outside of their curriculum, right? And therefore we offer these two courses which we call open courses of 2 credits each, which are mandatory for students, but you have a large bouquet to choose from. In the MA education program, we believe that at least one of these courses should be in an area of what we may broadly call art and critical expression, right? Where you may go through a course in theater in education, or doing art or puppetry or something like that in education. So, one of those courses in the MA education program is related to that. The other course is open to all participants, and you can just choose something as esoteric and interesting or different, like bird watching or storytelling or pottery or anything like that, right? So those are set of open courses that are available to students across the university. It's also a very interesting opportunity to interact with students from other programs, right? So open courses develop this holistic kind of world view and open up many different kinds of things that we have probably not experienced before, or haven't had the opportunity or the time to experience before. Yeah, we can go forward. Yeah, now in our university, we also believe, or do not believe, let's just say, in conducting these very, traditional kind of end of the term or end of the semester exams. And that's because we want to be the change that we want to bring about, right? So be the change that you want to bring about. So therefore, we've all been frustrated with going through examinations, annual examinations, board exams, and so on and so forth. So we have curated and designed our assessments differently. Okay, so we don't conduct end of the semester kind of examinations where the expectation of you is to learn and reproduce, rote learn, and write everything that you have learned through the semester, testing only textbook knowledge, and so on and so forth. So instead, our assessments are different for every course. They are announced well in advance by the instructors, and the instructors do all kinds of interesting things, some of which are listed here, but this is by no means an exhaustive list. So you could be doing things like writing in class short quizzes. You could have take home assignments like writing a term paper or an essay, or maybe a response piece, or doing group kind of poster presentations, or uh, PPT kind of presentations, writing research reports, or maintaining portfolios and writing reflections, notes, and so on and so forth, right? Those are the different kinds of things that you would be doing. Comprehensive written and verbal feedback is provided by faculty. Observation of your work in the field practice is done in a very systematic manner by field mentors. So there is a whole lot of field faculty that is going to support the work that you are going to be doing while you are in the field, and that feedback and observations will be systematically passed on to you. So assessments are designed differently. We do not have marks, we have letter grades. The assessment is purely formative, right? So it is ongoing, and it is not based on your traditional practices of assessment that you may have gone through, the ones that give you all the stress and unhappiness. But having said that, it does not mean that this program lacks rigor in any way. And I want to emphasize that, right? Not to discourage any of you, But I do want to say that we just feel that learning can happen differently from those traditional kind of ways that one has been used to. But it is a program that is quite rigorous. It requires you to stay on your toes pretty much throughout it. So you have to do a lot of reading, you have to do some amount of writing, but you have the freedom to express yourself differently, right? In many, many different ways. There is a lot of emphasis on peer support, peer learning, and ways in which you can evolve, develop, and also experience things that you probably have not done before. Yeah, we can go forward. The admission process is, I think, clear. Those of you who do not have familiarity with it, just wanted to emphasize that in the M.A Education Program, we have three elements or three filters that you have to go through. One is the national entrance test, which is common for all the postgraduate programs across the university, which you probably have familiarity with, and somebody from the admissions team can guide you or give you more details about what that program is like. That program that test comprises of MCQs and a written component, and it is common across programs. Only in the M.A Education Program, we have an additional test, which is a subject area test, right? And that subject area is in those five that I have already spoken about, that is science, math, social studies, language, or early childhood education. But that subject area test essentially measures or looks at or assesses your capability of doing grade 10 level knowledge in these areas. So you need to perhaps know NCRT grade 10 science knowledge and mathematics and social studies, and not beyond that, right? The idea is that one, you should be interested in that subject area, and two, you should be able to engage with it for 4 courses and hence have at least grade 10 level knowledge, not beyond that. There is no expectation of having done any of these things in at the college level or anything like that, right? And the third one is the personal interview, which again is a common process, in which basically we want to know what your motivations are, what are your reasons for joining our program, whether you will be a fit into the culture that we offer at the program. And that's pretty much it. And the program, of course, is the program is interesting, it's exciting, and our campus is very, very beautiful. I hope that you can sometime come over and see our campus. It's a vibrant place to be, microcosm of many, many different cultures and diversity that we really, really value. And we hope to welcome some of you there. And I think I'm done. Thank you. Thank you very much. What we will do is we will go to a short video now, just a 3.5 minute video that my colleague will play, which gives you a little glimpse of our campus. And you can also meet some of my other faculty members, right, talking about the program. So it's just a short video for all of you to watch. Thank you. And then we'll go on to Q&A after that.
So we all agree that there are problems with the Indian educational system, and we are all in a hurry to reform it. But in order to work on education, human beings need not just caring and passion, but they also need a certain knowledge basis, certain ideas, certain capabilities.
One of the key objectives of M.A Education Program offered by Azim Premji University is to build gradually a cadre of reflective practitioner willing to contribute to public education system.
So before the program, I did not have any foundation into this field of education. So I was looking at understanding what education is all about in our country. How do you approach different issues that are there already in education that we have, really thought about them?
core courses are a significant component of the M.A Education Programme. They address a variety of questions such as what is education, how do children construct knowledge, what kinds of content can be organized depending on the aims of education, what are relevant and researchable problems in the field of education, how do we investigate it.
To be able to do that effectively, you need access to a variety of knowledge bases, both theoretical and practical.
This program is designed in such a way where they visit field locations 3 times and they substantially spend time there, altogether 4 months.
And the reason that we are able to do this well is because the Azim Premji Foundation has an active field presence in multiple states. So our students are able to go to field institutes as well as Azim Premji schools, and they're able to work with a diversity of faculty members who bring a variety of strengths to the program.
In addition, all students have to choose a school subject in which they take up 4 mandatory courses. These courses emphasize the nature of the subject, its content, curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and curriculum material development. The classroom for us is central to the domain of education because it is a microcosm of the school as well as the larger social and political context in which it is situated. In the 3rd and 4th semesters, students take up elective courses which may include an independent study.
So in the classrooms, you don't have professors just giving you a lecture mode. It's more like a discussion form of education, and you can reflect on your ideas on the concepts and talk it out to the professors. So there was a lot of thought process that started happening here. You get a lot of ideas which were there in your mind, but now they get a concrete shape once you get the kind of exposure from the professors, from your peer interactions, formal and informal.
The program overall emphasizes the development of dispositions such as a strong work ethic, sensitivity towards teachers, children, and community members, and resilience and ability to work in diverse educational settings.
For graduates of M.A Education Programme offered by Azim Premji University, education is their profession as well as calling. By developing disposition and capability, this program prepares students to become a good reflective practitioner in the field of education.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ankur. I think that was a detailed explanation. We will now go with some question answers. I think some of them are already answered by my colleagues there, but we will take on a few. Okay, the first question, and I think we hear this all the time. How is MA Education Program different from a B.Ed or a M.Ed program?
Yeah. That's a good question to ask, and we sort of get it every year. See, the MA Education program, unlike the B.Ed program or the M.Ed program, is not a teacher education program, right? The B.Ed program prepares teachers. The M.Ed program prepares teacher educators. The MA Education Program is a more broad-based, eclectic, liberal arts kind of oriented program that is preparing education practitioners who can work in areas beyond teaching, right? So it is a broad based program, so you can take up, and I suppose I can peg the other question with it about career opportunities after MA Education Program, right? So lot of our students work in these different areas of education practice which go beyond teaching. It does not mean that you cannot become a teacher. You can, of course, because you're learning, teaching and learning, you're spending so much time in the classroom, and you also develop the love for teaching while you are part of the program. So it does not preclude that, but at the same time it prepares you to take up roles that go beyond just teaching in the classroom, which are essentially the objectives of a B.Ed program and a M.Ed program, that is teaching and teacher education, right? That's one thing. Answering the question about career opportunities and what kind of work do people do, what our students do after they pass out, the response to that would be that you can work in multiple areas. You could work in different types of education practice. You could be interested or be working in something like content development or curriculum development, right? So say your interest is in math and math education, so you could work with an organization that develops content, say textbooks or curriculum for say grade 5, grade 6, grade 7th maths. So how to teach maths better. You could also be working in textbook development, writing of textbooks, for instance, or reference books. You could also work with teachers, directly with teachers. So helping teachers develop their capabilities in that particular area, right? In a pedagogic area or any other. So helping teachers develop capabilities beyond just the subject area. Or you could work with organizations in program management. So different kinds of different ways in which education intervention happens, right? So you could work at the level of program management. You could work at the level of directly dealing with children. You could also work in managing or introducing different kinds of interventions. If you remember, I spoke about designing interventions or educational interventions. So how to design, how to conduct, how to organize, how to work with the community. So directly working with community, you could be involved in activism of some kind. You could be involved in policy development of some kind as respect to, or policy advocacy of some kind with respect to education. So these are different kinds of areas. It depends on your interest. It also depends on what you develop your capability in while you are in the program. It also can depend on your previous experience. And as I said, needless to say, teaching is also one of the options. Yeah.
All right. Great. You have answered two important questions in the same answer. Yes. Now, could you elaborate on how semester three is designed and structured? The
Yeah.
reason being, when the field practice is happening, there will be no classroom engagement. That's a question.
Yeah. So, yeah, this semester three is actually quite exciting and intriguing. So, what happens is I will explain it in very actual kind of terms, which hopefully will help you understand it. So let's say that the semester begins in July, right? Which is how hopefully it will. It begins in the month of July. So for about 10 to 12 weeks, you are on campus at the university, where you will go through some of the courses. So 2 or 3 courses, which are part of the curriculum, you will go through those. Once they finish, you will go for your field practice. While, like I said earlier, the field practice will happen at one of our field sites. Field sites meaning one of the sites where the Azim Premji Foundation works, which means we have our own presence. They are called our district institutes. I'll give you an example. So, for instance, you are placed in a place called Sirohi. Okay, Sirohi is a small district in Rajasthan. So, if you are working in Rajasthan or you're placed in Rajasthan and your subject area is math or science pedagogy or social studies pedagogy, then you will go through part of your courses there, right? So, one course in maths pedagogy, which is actually a curriculum material development course, as well as a course in teacher professional development, will happen while you are there. That course will be led by field faculty in very, very close collaboration with our faculty who are here in Bangalore, right? It does not mean that will happen online or anything. It will happen physically in classrooms, but it is structured in that manner. At the same time, you will also be going to schools. So you will be visiting schools. So let's say in a 6-day week, 2 days you will be attending classes, rest of the 4 days you will be visiting the schools and doing your own work. At the same time, you will be attending workshops, participating in the teacher development activities over there. So that is how the program is curated to help you be part of the daily teaching learning practices in the school, be learning, doing your courses, reflecting on your learning on a daily basis. I think that's probably one of the concerns that you have, that, who am I interacting with if I'm there on the field all the time? So there is field faculty and there is faculty here who is supporting you constantly in this. And that's why we think it's a very unique sort of design. And yeah, I hope that
Yeah,
answers your question.
yeah, it definitely understood the whole program structure. All right, next is I have done MSc Physics and B.Ed. Am I eligible to get into a master's program in education?
Yes, yes, you are absolutely eligible. The program is offered to a graduate from any discipline, whether you have a B.Ed or not, whether you have a master's or not. You're welcome. What you need to do is to qualify, right, for the admission, through the admission process, the three levels, and also be deeply interested. So, and what I want to say to all of you here is that just ask yourself this question, right? Why do you want to do this program? If you are able to find an answer, that's good enough, right? And then you will get through. And the person who's done physics, I would like to just say this, that with your knowledge of science, with your knowledge of physics, you can do a lot in contributing to improving the quality of science education in our country. So we do need people like you. We need people with science, we need people with social studies, and we need people with mathematics background. So yes, you're more than welcome. And we have a lot of people with similar backgrounds. We have people with engineering backgrounds, quite a few, by the way. Every year we have at least 10% of our students graduating with who come with engineering degrees. So yes, yeah.
All right, go to the next question. I am a special educator in autism. Will MA Education help me specialize in inclusion for children with autism?
So no, the answer to that would be no. The See, inclusive education is one course that is an elective in the program. It provides you perspectives on inclusion, that is inclusion of, since you work in the area of autism, so it will help you to understand how children who have autism can be included in the regular school system, but it will not enhance your capabilities as a special educator. For that, we have a diploma program in inclusive education. We also have a diploma in learning disability. I suggest that you look those up. My sense is that if you are looking for this kind of niche capability, those programs would be a better fit. So it will not help you with the special education aspect of your program, sorry, of your learning. Yeah.
Okay, next would be my English level is intermediate. Can I apply for MA in education? How can I improve my reading and writing capabilities?
Yeah, so every year we get students who feel that their level of English is not up to a certain mark or whatever. See, we as a university, as a foundation, embrace diversity. We really, really strongly believe and walk the talk with respect to welcoming students from diverse backgrounds. English will be a bit of a stumbling block for you if you are not able to do basic reading and writing in it. Okay. But nobody will stop you from, say, having a conversation in Hindi or whatever is your preferred language in the classroom. That is not a deterrent. Okay, that is not a deterrent. But yes, I would say that because the medium of instruction is English, you do require a basic level of understanding. And what can you do to improve your reading writing capability is to do more and more of reading and writing, right? To take more and more of opportunities to do as much as possible of reading and writing in the time that you have with yourself. But we've always, every year we have students who think that their English is not up to the mark. We also provide a English language support course as part of our open courses, which a lot of students take, and they feel that they, are able to enhance their capabilities in the English language. Yeah, so it should not be a deterrent, but I would say that you should work on it for sure. And if you are able to clear the entrance exams and all, then that means that your English is up to the mark, right? Yeah.
All right. Next will be, could you please talk about the subject test in detail? What kind of preparation is required to write the test?
Yeah. So, see, as I said earlier, it requires you to have only grade 10 level capability in that subject, and also some intuitive interest in it, right? Because you're going to be taking four courses in that area, right? So, in science education, early childhood education, maths, language, and social studies, you will be doing four courses. So I need to know as to why you are signing up for that course, right? I need to know why science is your area of interest, why maths is your area of interest, because I don't want you to regret it later. So when you sit in that class, I want you to be excited. I want you to feel genuinely interested in that area, right? So that is one part of it. That is where you make the choice as part of your application process. The other is, what is it that I need to prepare for? Honestly, if you are interested, if you have studied science and maths or social studies up to grade 12 or in your college, it should not be a problem at all, right? What we are looking for is NCRT grade 10 level knowledge in all of these. Yes, early childhood education is a little different because it is not a taught school subject. There, an interest in children, an interest in children's education, and maybe just a, you know, a little awareness about what is early childhood education, why is it important, why is it also being talked about so much these days. It's almost become a buzzword. So go read, say, let's the national education policy, and find out what it says about early childhood education. Why is everyone talking about it? What kind of work is happening in that area? And that should be enough. Your interest in children, young children, that is, and their education, that should be fine, I think, right? And just go through the curriculum of school curriculum of these subject areas. In my view, it should be enough to get you through.
In fact, that was going to be the next question. What level of prior knowledge is required to study early
Yeah,
childhood education? So I
yeah.
guess you answered that. Okay, the next question is, of course, on entrance test. Will it be online or offline? So I'll have to, let me take this. This is going to be an online test. Unfortunately, we have not come out of the pandemic as yet. So the entrance as of today is scheduled as an online, which will be on the 13th of March. The last date to apply would be on February 28th. So that's about the entrance. Dr. Ankur, next question for you will be to give a brief or talk on the diversity in the classroom.
Yeah. So, see, that's a favorite area for us to talk about, and we take a lot of pride, okay, in this diversity in our classroom. Not to say that it is sometimes not challenging, but I think it's something that is very unique about our university, right? Because it is committed to creating a just, humane, equitable society, and we take that very seriously, and we go to a lot of we go to great lengths to bring diversity into our classrooms. And the diversity that you will find in the classroom typically would be at very different levels. There will be diversity of age, which means you will have in a postgraduate classroom a student who's a young graduate who's just 21 or 22 years of age. And you will also perhaps have someone who is a mother of two or a father of two children and is close to my age, with lots of gray hair and things like that, so close to 45, 50 years or even older. That's diversity of age. Of course, diversity of gender, thankfully till now we are more or less equally distributed. You will also have diversity of representation from different states of the country. You will have diversity of prior qualifications and work experience in the classroom. So you'll have people who are almost mid career, right? People who have worked for 10, 12 years in different sectors, in the social sector, or somebody who's an IT person, or somebody who's an engineer, or somebody who's worked in a bank or something like that, and is now considering a change, or is having some kind of, a calling that now I want to do this with my life. So you'll have people coming from very diverse cultures, linguistic diversity, diversity of age, diversity of qualifications, diversity of representation of different states. So it's challenging, but it also totally enriches our classroom discussions. So imagine somebody who's coming with 10, 12 years of having worked in an educational organization, and is now bringing all that rich experiences to the classroom, versus somebody who has probably not really seen the face of a government school before. So that really brings in that amazing kind of diversity that we are looking for in our classroom. And like I said, that we make every effort to get that, and hence we have financial assistance models and scholarships, etc., that are available for students. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Okay, next again on the curriculum. How many open courses a student can take? What if I want to take more than three open courses?
Yeah. So you can take, you have to take minimum 2 open courses. Okay. You can take 3 provided your timetable allows you, in the sense that you have to take them. Open courses are held every week at the same time across the university. So if you have finished your 2 courses and you want to take a third one, feel free. See, the minimum credits that you have to accrue is determined, meaning you need 72 credits. If you graduate with 74, we have no problem. Okay. But it is a rigorous program, and it does become challenging to do more than what is expected, because it requires a certain level of rigor. But if your time allows you, be my guest, you can take as many courses as you want.
Right. Okay. What is the intake for MA education? Would you?
See, yeah, I would not like to go there, but I think we have about 150 students every year, about 150 students, and divided into different sections approximately.
All right. I think we have answered most of the questions. And is there any more that we need to address? Uh, all right. So I think we can end the session here. Thank you so much, Dr. Ankur, for being there and explaining the program in detail. For those of you who missed joining us in the beginning, the whole broadcast is available on YouTube. Please take a look at it, and do write to us if you have any questions about the programs and you were not able to ask during this session. We'll be more than happy to address it via email. So there will be, we will reach out to you to give you all the right answers. That's it from our side. Stay safe. Once again, a reminder on the last date for application. This is on February 28th, with an exam that's going to be scheduled for the 13th of March. All right. So we'd like to end the session now. Stay safe. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ankur.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good wishes to all of you. Bye bye.